Right, Clark's fan reaction. Burnley 0, Liverpool 1. Yeah, devastating. Absolutely devastating. Um, I thought we were absolutely superb defensively until the 93rd minute. Um, and we've lost a point thanks to a moment of madness and a silly mistake. And at the time, I didn't think it was a penalty. I thought it was, like, from where I was sat, it didn't look like it was a penalty. It looked like it, as Hannibal turned, it hit his elbow. But I've seen it back a few times, and yeah, it's one of them where I can't argue against it as much as I want to sit here and say it wasn't a penalty and the league's full of corruption and all that stuff, because I'm absolutely devastated. It's a penalty, and that's two games against the big six where we've looked like getting a point, and we probably deserved a point. And we've come away with nothing thanks to a moment of madness in the last minute to give them a penalty. And yeah, like I said, it's just gutting because we played so well for the majority of the game, and defensively we were absolutely solid. It was a defensive performance that Sean Dyche should be proud of. We were backs to the wall. We were, under the cosh from minute one, really. Um, I'm not going to pretend like, we didn't have our chances and we didn't attack them, because we did. But it was very much on the counter-attack and very much as and when we could get on the ball. I don't know the possession stats. I don't know the stats of the game. But it wouldn't surprise me if we had, less than 30% possession in the whole of the game. Because it did feel like Liverpool just constantly had the ball, and it was just like wave after wave after wave of Liverpool coming at us. But yeah, it's just disappointing, and teams of the fans of the big six teams and Liverpool fans will say that we've sat there and parked the bus. But when you've got a striker who's cost you £125 million and he's not even in your squad, and players like Salah, players like Chiesa, Gravenberch, these players, and then you look at, we've got Josh Laurent in our midfield, and we can't compete with teams like that. Going toe to toe with them, so we have to have a game plan. And I thought the game plan worked very, very well for the majority of the game. And like I said, that apart from that one moment of madness, it felt like we were going to get something from the game. And yeah, it's just disappointing, especially after Leslie gets sent off. And again, that's a moment of madness, and I think it's harsh to give a yellow card for that, but the referee was always going to try and give him something, and I don't want to sit here and blame the referee, but the standard of officiating is just awful. And like I say, well, it was a penalty, so I'm not going to, say that's why we lost, because it was a penalty. But other than that, every single lad on the pitch today can be proud of themselves and the shift that they put in, and the abuse that Hannibal's got for the handball, it's not on. He's still one of our players. He's still one of our lads, and he's a young lad. He's gonna learn his lesson from it, hopefully. Parker needs to put his arm around him. And same as Anthony the other week. He's gonna need to put his arm around him and help him out, and hopefully it does do, because there's raw talent there in Hannibal. And yeah, it's just a shame. It's honestly, I'm struggling for my words with it for tonight, because it's just a shame. We played so well. We defended well. I know everyone says our teams, teams like Liverpool aren't the teams that we're going to need to beat, and they're not. But getting points on the board, you know, no matter who you're facing, it is important, and it would have been nice to, you know, finally get a result against one of these big teams, and especially after the disappointment of Man U, and then coming back today after international break, it would have just been nice, but obviously it weren't meant to be, and it just leaves a little bit of a sickening taste in your mouth. But just want to shout out Martin Dubravka, because, like I say, every man on the pitch today was outstanding. Every man on the pitch played fantastic. The subs did well when they came on, you know, with what they had to do. But Martin Dubravka kept us in that game for so long, so many times, and you know, you could argue about the penalty, but you know, it's a penalty. It's a look at the draw, which way you go, and unfortunately, he's gone wrong way. But yeah, I just thought Dubravka was absolutely outstanding. He made some saves that, you know, I wouldn't have felt confident other goalkeepers would have made. I felt like he commanded his box well. You know, he just seems to have that presence, and I thought he was just absolutely fantastic for me today. So my man of the match, 100%. But like I say, Steve, brick wall as always. Ekdal, questions have been asked about him all season. You know, questions were asked before the season kicked off, but I think again today he proved that he can do it in the Premier League, you know, especially coming up against a striker like Ekatike, and you know, the players that Liverpool have. I thought he did well. Thought Walker was outstanding. Thought Hartman did really, really well. You know, I thought every man played fantastic. And at the end, it's a moment of madness that we've lost it from. But yeah, disappointed. You know, it does feel sickening. It does leave bad taste in the mouth. But if we perform like that every game this season, and I know we're not going to do, and I know that there are going to be games where we don't play well, but if we put in performances like that against the teams that are going to be in and around the relegation zone, I think we'll be fine. But yeah, it's a big game against Forest next week. Have to get something there, especially, you know, when you look at the other fixtures we've got coming up after that. But yeah, big game against Forest next week. Let's get some points against them. Yeah, and let's keep going. But yeah, disappointed at the end of the day, but, you know, we move up the Clarets.